With over 44 years of work experience, Ian brings a plethora of management and leadership skills and capabilities to the table. As a social service leader, he has worked with Rotary and Roundtable. As a community leader, he has been president of the Karnataka Goan Association, the Catholic Club, the Catholic Association of Bangalore, and St. Joseph's Old Boys Association, which has branches across the world. Through Toastmasters International, he added great value to people's lives as he took the movement across India and Sri Lanka. The Presidential Citation he received in 2006 bears ample testimony to the role that he played so that India's leaders could think innovatively and communicate more effectively. People building and leadership are his passion. He is also a lifelong student of the mind and how it can make us or break us. He applies cutting edge mind techniques in his programs on communication and leadership. This has helped transform the mindset of the many leaders across some of the best multinational companies in India, the Middle East, and the US. He has the distinction of working across three diverse and exciting industries. He started his career with a 7-year stint in the Merchant Navy and rose to the level of chief officer. He became a builder developer who completed 14 projects in 12 years. His passion to move for people forward led him to corporate training and coaching for corporate leaders. He is currently a board member of the East-West School, Bangalore, and is a founding member of the Society at Xavier's Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, XIME, one of India's prestigious management institutions. He is also on the board of St. Martha's Hospital. While Ian is a tremendous trainer, he also enjoys his many interventions as a keynote speaker and motivator. He has spoken at and motivated leaders at numerous annual conferences and general body meetings. He also trains politicians, lawyers, and preachers in the art of influencing through presentations and public speaking. He is a voracious reader and an impactful writer with over 600 published articles for leading newspapers and magazines like the Times of India, Deccan Herald, Vijaya Times, One India. His book on leadership, Moving from Influence to Impact, will be published soon. He has been the mind coach for 10 months on Radio Indigo Bangalore. He passionately follows his mission to create thought leaders and to make India the #1 country on the planet, and that is what makes him one of India's transformational icons. He is the proud father of Nicole Faria, Miss India 2010 and Miss Earth 2010. His key philosophy is to succeed, we just need to tap a little bit of the infinite power within us. A big hand for you, Ian. Congratulations. And on that note, I would hand over the floor to Ian and Vishal to take the conversation forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ian. Hey, how's it going, Ian?
So
Ian, are you
we're going to have a lot of fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to have fun. Are you a Josephite, Boys High School?
Yes, so in Joseph's Boys High School.
So I was a Cottonian, so a lot of cricket games where probably we won a few, you won many more.
No, I think we were balanced out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always good to meet an old Bangalorean. My association with you actually begins in 2016 when I was the editor of your story then, and you wrote an article saying, how Bangalore's gone from a pensioner's paradise to an IT city with its own struggles, and you were part of the Save Bengaluru movement also, right? In the context of that, it's also the Mindfulness and Mental Health Week. Ladies and gentlemen, just set context, there are about 45.7 million people with depressive disorders and anxiety disorders in India. Anxiety disorders, if you add that to the depressive disorders, it's another 45 million, so 90 million in total. Ian, you had a long checkered career. You've also been in real estate, yes. Right? I quickly want to talk about how did you enter this field of corporate training, building teams, empowering teams, individuals. And coming from a land where we were always supposed to be mindful, taking care of our parents, children, and then, you enter the world of bliss. But suddenly the world has changed. We're living in a world of startups, unicorns, high money, high stakes, right? So how do you handle all this, Ian? Give us a quick history about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Let me give you a quick insight into how I changed careers first. So Vishal, my first career was in the Merchant Navy. I wanted to be there because my dad was a Merchant Navy ship captain. And I just wanted to be there. I used to love his uniform, the epaulets, the peak cap, and, everybody bowing to your wishes. So I said that one day I'm going to be that. So I joined the Merchant Navy, much resistance from my mom and all that. I did a good 7-year stint, and I had a graph which was going almost like vertically upwards on progress. So I was doing well. But I realized that, the Merchant Navy was not really the place I wanted to be. It was nice. It was exciting. It taught me how to live tough and also brave nature and all the forces of nature. But it also taught me to sleep less. It taught me to handle different cultures, etc., until I met my wife. And then, a lot of our plans go awry. So the first thing she said to me after marriage was, I can't live without you. And I said, okay, what do I do? So I just chucked the Merchant Navy. Can you believe it? I just chucked it. So I'm that kind of impulsive guy. I threw the Merchant Navy away. And of course, 1 year later, the story goes, she said, can't you join back the Merchant Navy?
Did you go back?
You know how women change their mind sometimes. So she
The
just
things we do for family. Yes, I agree with what you said.
Yeah. So, we think we're all nice up to a point, and then, the deep inner, the dark side of us shows up. So this is all part of the mind. And I want, why I'm bringing this up is, this was my first career change. I moved into being a builder. And I did that for 13 years. I did 14 projects, lost a ton of money, did some very good work. Some of my buildings are still iconic in very small, cute projects, but very iconic and solid. So I did that for 13 years until I realized this is also not what I want to do. So it took me a long time to realize that. And then I said, okay, now what? But the universe always opens doors when it wants you somewhere else. So training possibilities emerged through Rotary. And, I just got into it, and I loved training. I loved getting into people's minds. I love getting them to a higher level of achievement. So whether it's training, it's coaching. I'm one of India's first coaches. Way before coaching was certified in India. So way before ICF and all came into India, I was already coaching some of the top leaders. But this is the line which I really think has given me the maximum lift, or the bang for the buck, so to speak. You don't earn as much as you earn in real estate, which is that much, but it's okay. Everything is not about money. And so this is the way I look at life, Vishal. And
how was that start? How was that start? I mean, moving away from, construction. I want to get back to construction a bit, and how young people should also get involved themselves in owning properties and all that. I'll take your advice on that one. I want to ask you, moving your careers, you want to be a Merchant Navy guy.
Yes.
Get into construction, then get into empowering people. You said, I want to get into people's minds and empower them. What do you mean by that? And how do you do it?
Okay, see, now each of us has a certain persona. Now, for instance, the first time I saw you this evening on camera, I was already doing a read of you. Who's Vishal? What kind of person is he? So already my mind was clicking into place, like, I have to get into your mind. I have to read all that I can about you, and I have to pull some of you out of it. So that's the place I work best. So my work is in reading people, in finding their gaps, in telling them 1 or 2 small changes that have to be made to get them the maximum results. And that's where I thrive. Normal coaches go through a set pattern of questions, and I'm telling you, that's a lot of, hogwash. But really, if you can find out who is somebody in first few seconds, and you can tell them what gaps they need to plug quickly and how to plug them, then you got magic happening. And I think
I completely agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, is there a certain age group that you work with, or is it any category? I want you to divide this into this, right? You've seen Bangalore grow from a pensioners paradise to this IT services hub to a global startup hub.
Right.
Phenomenal amount of money coming in. How do you manage? What kind of category of people? Is it high-level CEOs who come to you? to train, or is it young founders who suddenly see hundreds of crores in their bank account, and suddenly the pressures of performance come their way, and they're depressed. Most of them take to religion, but you're saying don't do that yet, and that's why you open their mind to something else, right? You want to tell us what age groups and how you work with them?
Sure. Let me answer the first question first. Actually, my preferred audience is the CXO level, so that I'm actually training the big leaders. My mission is, number one, to make India number one. Number two is to make the world a better place. So I have these small mission goals, so I'm going to do that. How do I make India number one? By making 100 top quality leaders for India, top quality. And whether they are politicians or they are entrepreneurs or, I would say startups or, iconic billionaires, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs some portion of tweaking of the mind. And I'm amazed, and this is where I really like to focus. I really like to call myself the mind coach, and that's my new avatar going forward, is how do I get in and tweak somebody's mind quickly? Because this is going to be our strongest asset, and it is going to be our biggest liability. So I would like to focus only...
Yeah, let's talk about the mind coach. What the mind coach, usually people call you and take an appointment and say that, look, this is the problem. Probably they come and give you a problem statement, or they don't know the problem. How does it begin, Ian, for you?
It doesn't matter whether they know the problem or not. The good thing is I can read where the problem is. So it's like you go for a blood test, Vishal, you might not know what's wrong with you, but you go for the blood test. But a doctor looking at you, looking at your eye color or the skin, the pallor of the skin, he can actually tell you what's wrong with you, but he still needs a diagnostic to prove it. In my work, I don't even need a diagnostic because, we know how to read energy. We know how to read persona. And so it's much easier for us to do this without even a diagnostic at hand. So I don't believe in psychometric testing and all that. That's a null-sum game, and most of the world has thrown it out anyway.
Absolutely. I think this personal kind of, so it's almost like you give them a personal insight into their mind, something that they have not been able to find. Can you give us some case that I'm curious to know some, don't name names, but give us some people that you kind of work with, what category, where did they come from, and how did you help them perform at their best? You said CXO level, so we could start there if you want.
Yeah, so I'll give you an idea. I'm training a small company. It's worth about 55 crores when I started with them in December last year. And one of the first questions I asked them was, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And they said, if we can reach like 75 crores in the next 3 years, it would be great. I said, then you don't need me. You can do that all on your own. So I started with giving them a stretch target. I said, why don't we talk about 100 crores in 1 year? And they said, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I said, no, if you really want me on board, take a serious target. And believe it or not, in 8 months' time, they reached the 100 crore mark. Now they're talking 200. Now, what changed? What changed was I gave them a stretch target. I told them, I'm with you guys. You're not on your own anymore. On your own, you could have reached that 75 in 3 years. I'm pretty sure about it. When the market is booming in that area. Now, this is where I come in. I tell people what they're capable of. I stretch boundaries for them. I show them a wider scape. I used to be in the merchant navy. And one nice thing is the height of eye. So if you're on the deck level, you can't see so much of the horizon. But if you get to the bridge deck, which is about 4 or 5 levels higher, you can see much more of the horizon. Some of those small boats which are over the horizon, you can suddenly see them. But interestingly, if you climb up the mast, you can see much more of the horizon. So the more you increase your stature or your height of eye, the more of the horizon becomes visible to you.
Are there certain tasks that we have to do to get there? What are some of the tasks that you give them to do this?
See, one of the things is I ask them to map themselves. Most important thing on the planet is how aware of who we are and what we're doing. Most of us are just going through the humdrum of life every day, trying to make some small targets for the day or the week, and, just trying to make something happen. And we say what gets measured gets done, and all of these nice theories. But seriously, if you're not happy inside, Vishal, you can't really make that plan happen. You're going to work with a heavy burden. You're not sure whether things are okay at home, not okay at home. How are you setting corporate targets for that? If a person is having a problem with his kids at home, let's say, or there's some family dispute and property division is becoming a big problem, How do I go to work and how do I achieve big targets? How do I be fair to my people? How do I be nice to them? So we have to understand we are a composite. This is one thing that all the listeners here have to understand. The same brain that goes to the office in the morning goes home at night. Same brain. All of a sudden, we are expecting you to tune off and, I'm going to chill. Doesn't happen just like that. You're still carrying burden of the office home. You're still carrying house problems to work next day. And we have to learn how to work with both these dimensions.
So you're saying map things, and mapping of things would be setting up goals on a day-to-day basis, weekly basis, quarterly basis. See, most of these founders, CXO levels, I'm sure they're target driven. Is that where the problem begins at all, or is it because they take a whole lot of other things? There's personal and business, right, as problems. So they combine the two, and then they feel that they cannot achieve things. Is that why you say map things?
I can't really give you a one-size-fits-all kind of formula, Vishal, but I am saying this, everything is individualistic. So if you go to your doctor, no, he'll see what is your set of problems. And you might have a twin brother who has a totally different set of problems. Although you've grown up in the same house, same family, same environment, same culture, you still have two different views of life, right? So that doctor has to be smart enough to realize that what works for Peter might not work for Paul. Now, that's what I do in coaching. We look at people individually and I map people individually. From session to session, I can tell you what's changed in them.
Okay, that's interesting. So and the mind, and for you, it's saying that the maximum potential is reached once they achieve the business target, or is there also a personal target that they achieve?
One of the metaphors that I love to use is when you reach the top of your mountain, you suddenly realize, oh my God, there are more mountains to climb. So you never really complete. And they say that if you're, learning at 80, you're still young. But if you stop learning at 20, you're already old. So where is the reality check in all of this? It's not really there. Each one has to decide for his own. I know a 30-year-old entrepreneur who sold his company for a few $1 million. And then he says, I'm going to teach maths to people in my village. That's it. Started on Gurukula in his village. Just chucked the whole corporate world. He said, I had enough of this crap.
Okay.
So where's the formula? I mean, he doesn't want more mountains to climb. He says, Beda pasako.
That's true. That for those of you who are watching this from other parts of the world, Beda pasako means it's enough. He's had enough of life. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
I don't want any more. That's enough. Enough is enough.
Right. So your clientele is very specific. You take it only on request. How does that work?
See, a lot of times the CXOs I'm training also have problem with their kids or their wife or somebody, right? So it's like, can you also do some little personal help for me, So then we start to work with the children. But I don't really, look at the children as a coachee group. It's only on request. And that also for people I'm already coaching, of course, we can handle the family because that is their ego space, right? If I don't manage that, then, the same problems are going to come back to work. So there I do it holistically. And it works like
so do you have a team or do you work individually, Ian? Or
I have other associates who I work with, but
the
problem is my work is so specific and it's so fine-tuned that, most people will tell me, Ian, I hope you're going to do the coaching. And they don't mind paying double or triple the rate of anybody else, but they want me to coach them because everybody wants results. It's like if you're going for an open heart surgery, Vishal.
Yeah.
You go to the best doctor in town. Would you look for a Devi Shetty or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Look for the best, right? And you've always propagated ideas to action and discovery of inner light, right? What are your thoughts on this? Why ideas to action and discovery of inner light? What do you mean by that? Inner light or inner voice or inner power?
See, finally, who's going to judge you? I mean, while we listen to everybody around us, it's that internal dialogue that's going to be most important for you because that won't let you sleep at night. You might have got all the praise from everyone, but if the imposter syndrome has kicked in, you're going to be thinking, see, those guys are all impressed with me, but I know I'm hollow inside. I know I'm not happy with my life. I know that the people I love, they don't love me back. All that is gone down the drain. You might have the biggest bank balance, the biggest house, the number of cars might be fabulous. All of us need these status symbols to put us up there. But after that, what happens? When you sleep at night, you're sleeping with yourself.
Correct.
So that inner voice will not let you sleep if you're not happy with yourself. And therefore, that inner dialogue has to be set right first.
Okay, I want to ask you, a lot of the younger people today use these Aura applications, right? They have an Aura ring or they have an Apple Watch and this capturing of all that data. And yet people are unhappy. So you wonder whether what brings them happiness, right? So you're saying discovering yourself, that's far better than actually getting into this data mode where you look at all this data, yet you're not happy. Like you said earlier, you climb onto a peak, but there are so many peaks to climb, you're never happy, you're never satisfied. You're saying you got to get rid of that.
Yeah, so Vishal, it's like this. I can go for a blood test every day. And I know my numbers are going up or going down. But do I know how to keep it where I want it? So it's not only about looking at the numbers every day. Do I know how to get out of those numbers? Do I know what do I want out of those numbers? See, earlier they said, cholesterol levels, 300 was okay, Then they said 250 is okay. Now they said 200. Similar kind of things happened with blood sugar levels. Now they're saying you better keep it below 100 because, if it's more than that, you've got diabetes problems. But diabetes problem is not about the sugar level of you now. If you look at B.M. Megde and what he says, he's a brilliant guy. He says you're worrying about all these unnecessary things. You don't need open heart surgery. You don't need stents to be fitted. The body knows how to clear the plaque, but you change your lifestyle, right? You get more exercise done, use more antioxidants, eat cleaner food. Don't eat processed food, too much of it. So
you're basically saying you don't need an app to tell you that. It's all there.
Yes, it's all there. And you don't even need somebody to coach you. But the question is this, you want to reach there with less collateral damage. You want to reach there quicker. Then, of course, you need a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be successful in our own time.
I agree with that. How many of your clientele actually complete the program in a sense? How many of them really do 100%?
I think most of them would complete the program. See, once you paid money, nobody wants to just leave it like that and say, okay, doesn't matter. Now I got what I like out of it. So although, Vishal, I've had one or two people who said, Ian, that's it. I got what I wanted. Enough. Can I keep this pending whenever I require it? I said, no, this has a timeline. It expires. So otherwise, you're using it as a convenience. Like, oh, if I got a toothache, I go to my dentist. Otherwise, I don't care about my teeth. No, it's not like that. You have to start to be proactive and you have to start to build on yourself.
It is. Now I want to go back to your business, your construction business. You were in the career for a long time. A lot of young people today also get very stressed when they handle real estate.
Right.
They think they can't handle the government. They think they can't, handle all these in-betweens, go-betweens. There's so many of them. And therefore, obviously, Indiassetz is building that digital platform to make it easy for them.
Right.
I want to ask, in your time, why do people get stressed when they buy real estate? Why is so stressful? You were a businessman also. Is it a stressful thing like any other business, or real estate is unique in giving you stress?
No, any business is as stressed as you want it to be. Okay. You could be doing meditation classes and be stressed out because, 5 people committed for the class and only 2 came there. I mean, come on, there's no end to how much of stress you can take. My neighbor didn't look at me, didn't say hello to me. That means something is wrong. Then you're going to be stressed about that. It all depends on your expectation levels. If you expect your neighbor to say hi to you every day and smile. So I went out with a friend for lunch today. And the friend said, you're okay, Ian, because, you're not talking as you normally do. So I'm thinking, I got...
So he's built an expectation on you.
Yeah. I got this talk with Vishal this evening and, I'm thinking, what do I have to say? How do I have to put my points across? And I'm thinking I had another training session just before this one with teachers of a school. And I was thinking, what do I say for that? So my mind was preoccupied. To be frank, that was it. But this friend of mine is very upset because he's saying every time you make me laugh and you engage me and you have 200 things to say in a minute. But now you're saying only 20 things. What? So our expectations can mess up the lunch. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
If I expect you to say 200 ththings a minute and you said 20, I'm really upset with you now.
Absolutely. I think in real estate, we all get upset. We go to the government offices and, we want to file, you have all these documents at the registrar's office. The guy says, sir, you complete get that form, get this form, maybe some money, exchange of money goes on, and then you say, what the hell, why am I buying this or building this? Did you ever go through that feeling? How should one, let's talk about the real estate stress, okay, like any stress. Did you ever have these problems? Now,
Actually, I didn't have these kind of problems, but I had problems of, who's going to be robbing my steel, which is placed on the road at night. And, is the slab going to reach its strength within 10 days? If it doesn't, then I have to put some additives and I have to let the slab cure for a little longer. And although we did our cube molds and all in those days, not many builders were doing it. But I learned the hard way that was the stress in your head is all created by you and what you're focusing on. So I'm saying you work hard during the day and party at night. What's the problem? We used to sleep 3 hours, 4 hours in those days because we always partied. So, I never had this stress problem seriously. Maybe I'm wired differently, but I look at stress as a chance for me to prove myself.
yeah, that's well said. Actually, that's so. It's also, you went to Joseph's, I went to Cotton's, all these schools. There was no pressure as such, those things. I remember that.
Yeah, I think you learn to compete and you learn to take a beating also once in a way.
And we took a lot of beating in school for sure. That was interesting. But tell me, things have changed. It's all about performance, efficiency, performance. You see that in the news every day. And I sometimes wonder, are we signing up for some mental institution or something on a day-to-day basis when we wake up? Like you said, I just wake up. Stress is nothing but you want to prove yourself every day. But to wire yourself like that, it's like you said, some people need a coach and therefore they contact you. Majority of them, really go to priests or whatever and do something, right? But it's an interesting time. How do you read the startup time? How do you read the last 10 years? Do you think stress has increased, or do you think it's different with the younger lot? You're a father too, and to a successful daughter. How did you handle that at the time as a father? Even parents go through a lot of stress with current day kids living in the metaverse, or they're always in their digital avatars. So how do you read society going forward?
No, I think we need to start to reset our, expectation levels. Same thing which I did in the school. I'm on the board there. I tell teachers, do not put stress of them on, how you're going to do in your exams. Your exams are coming up. An exam is only a chance for you to score some marks here. It's not to find out what you don't know. Whatever you know, you put it on the paper, you get marks. But getting stressed out and not going for the exam, you get all of 0 marks. So I say, go there and at least get 5 here. What's your problem? 5 marks is better than 0. In any case, you have to redo the test. So I tell them, and you believe it or not, Vishal, guys come out with 85, 90 marks after that. And they said, but I wasn't going for the test. I thought I didn't know anything. I thought I couldn't remember. Now, when you're stressed, you're in the wrong brain. You're in the reptilian brain, which is the fight, flight, freeze, or appease brain. Those are the only 4 options in the reptilian brain. Fight, flight. Fight means I want to kill you if I think you're trying to kill me. Yeah. Flight means I know you're going to try and kill me, so I want to run and escape. Freeze is, it's a defense mechanism. It's the deer in the headlights kind of mechanism. And the last one is appease. People in the corporate world, they're all the time saying yes, yes to their boss. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, right, sir, correct, sir. Yes, sir. They actually didn't hear anything. And they come out and say, hey, what did the guy say? I said, you said yes, yes to everything.
I've had employees like that. I've had employees like that, so I know what to do.
It's the appease mode. So when people are like that, please ask them, what did you understand? And then you'll realize they didn't understand anything. But they said yes, yes, yes to everything. So good leadership.
I think teachers today have to realize that students should not be pushed towards exams in a way. But unfortunately, we live in that rat system, right? You have to score these marks, at least at the 12th standard, to get into great colleges. And parents also get hyper stressed about that. I can't believe, you're right. Is there ever a time when somebody was not stressed? I would say that I see this on a day-to-day basis. Scores. Let's start. You start school. It's about scores. I meet a lot of people, so they tell me, I need to get to this exam and crack it so I get to get to college. Otherwise they end up in some hard rock cafe or something of that sort later on, listening some heavy metal. That's another extreme, obviously, right? But the balance can be started at school if teachers were balanced, right? And we're not blaming teachers. It's a whole ecosystem, by the way, including us. Maybe we are the problem also, right? Talking about solutions. So how do you read metaverse and all that digital avatar and all that crap that's running around? And I think it's a reality because people will tracking business for so long, I think people will go to a digital avatar. They'll probably earn more money by gaming, but there will be no reality as such, Have you been to a restaurant recently where you can see couples just looking at the phone and not at each other?
Yeah. No, so this is happening everywhere. You go look at a family going out for dinner, and all of them are on their phones and nobody's talking to each other. So we have more communicating devices, but we have less communication. And this is where the problem is. We are communicating with some avatar somewhere, and we are thinking we are doing a great job because somebody has done 3 thumbs up for you. And if you don't get a thumbs up, that's another source of stress. He didn't like my comment. He must be upset. Oh, leave it here. He must be, in the loo because he's got loose motions. And you're thinking he didn't respond to you. So I'm saying we unnecessarily stress ourselves out, Vishal. And I really think we need to put more pressure on our kids to go out and play games, competitive games, rather than those video games where you got an avatar and you can start all over again. Life doesn't give you the chance of starting every 5 minutes or, rebooting the game.
Yeah.
Life is real. It continues from there.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I mean, and for people to contact you, they have to come to your center or is it just appointments and you go to their offices with your team, or how does that work?
See, when I'm doing a corporate training, like I do teams, then it's easier for me to go to the company and do those 10 or 12 people in a day, and then go next day and do another 12 or 13, 14 people, so that works better for them. Otherwise, all of them, let's say somebody's in Electronic City, for them to come here is going to take 1 hour each way, at least, and then 1 hour going back. Now, if I do the 1 hour and 1 hour for them, then all of the 13 or 12 people I do in the day actually get served by that. They're not doing 13 into 2 hours travel. So I prefer to go there and do it, but I also do it online. So I have customers in Australia, I have customers in the US. I had to map to that time frame because, Australia is ahead of us. US is much behind us, 12 hours behind almost. So I have to map that time frame. So it's something you work out over time.
No, it's good. So I'm glad you've got great practice. You do corporate and individuals, but it's only on request. So I want to open it up to questions. Let's see how many people have asked questions. Let's take a quick break there, and I want Raghu to come in and bring in those audience questions. And then Ian, what you could perhaps do is also talk about, you could conclude after the question saying, where is life heading and why, because it's Mental Health Week, you could perhaps give us a tip or two to start our next week better. Raghu, over to you.
Love to do that. Thanks, Vishal.
Raghu, you're on mute again.
He's a much married man.
Yeah. Can you say something? Okay, I don't have the questions with me, but Raghu's got them. Raghu, we still can't hear you. Meanwhile, Ian, might as well start telling us about the tips. Give us, while he fixes his audio, give me 2 or 3 tips where people should start looking at mindfulness. You already said awareness. Be aware of yourself. What are the other few tips that you want to talk about?
I would say mindfulness, awareness, these are all equivalent terms. So, but the point is this: how many times are we aware of what we are doing? So one of the nice tips I give people is put an alarm, a small beeper every 1 hour. So at every 1 hour, take a 2-minute break, take a time out, go for a walk, go out and look at the traffic. It doesn't matter, but don't do what you are doing. So this breaks the stress levels. It does not keep it consistent. It's like trying to hold a bottle of water in front of you. You can hold it for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or something. But if I say hold it for 1 hour, you're going to get such an intense pain in your arm. But hold on a second. You put it up for 2 minutes and then you just lay it down for 10 seconds and again lift it up. You can do another 2-3 minutes. Again, put it down. Stress is like that. Take those small breaks every hour or every half an hour, and you'll be much more productive end of day. That's one. Second thing, don't sweat the small stuff. Like they say, don't take life too seriously because you're never going to get out of it alive. So all of us are going to die one day. The fact that you realize that sometime of your life, it takes away all the stress of dying. Somebody wise said, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. That's the truth, right? We want every damn thing. We don't want to work for it. We want to get it the easy shortcut way. I'm saying take the nice route, balance your life out, listen to others. Sometimes your spouse can tell you when you're being stressed. Why are we not listening? We don't need a stress test for that. Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's well said. Raghu, you're back, so I'll let you
Can you
take
hear me?
over.
Can you hear me now?
So I also have a question for you, Ian.
Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead. We'll let the lady
yeah.
go first, Raghu, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
No,
Go ahead,
remember,
Go ahead,
go
go ahead.
first. He's being
Okay.
nice to you.
All right. So, Ian, my question to you is, now you do this kind of coaching for CXOs and people at the leadership. Now, what I'm asking you is that, I mean, is there a time frame by when you need to see a transformation in the person, or it will be different in each case? I mean, are they time bound? Is basically what I'm asking you.
No,
Yeah.
there's no timeline for anything. Sometimes you can get a breakthrough in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And I pride myself on my ability to be able to pull somebody out of suicide in under half an hour. So,
Achha.
suicide prevention is something I also do quite a bit of the time. So in
Mhm.
today's world, that's becoming more and more of a requirement. And the
Okay.
person wants to know, how often should I come back and see you? And I said, why do you need to? You're done.
Okay.
So some things are cured just like that in 10 minutes. Some things take a little longer. So there's no one size fits all. It's just like health. Some people go to the gym for 1 month and they look buffed. And some people work out for 2-3 years and you can't make out they're exercising. So it all depends on the
All right.
intensity, your genetics.
So it is individual. Mostly it is a kind of an individual thing. Right.
Yes, it
Thank
is
you for
very much.
that. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Rima.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a question, Ian, from my friend from Coimbatore. His name is Bhaskar. Can you hear me, Ian?
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Raghu.
Okay. So he is asking, as Rema just asked about the timeline, when the negativity is there in a person, I mean, are you able to subside it down when he comes to you, or is it just prolonged, or depending, of course, on the case to case basis? Does it prolong, or is there a solution earlier?
Okay, there's no one size fits all. Again, I'm going to come back to that. Even twins coming to me, one person
Okay.
can get transformed in one session. One person might take another 3-4 months to get transformed. So it's all
Okay.
about choices.
Okay.
It's about how much of transformation you've done for yourself earlier. How serious are you about the transformation? What do you want to achieve from it? So there are a host of factors. It's very difficult to put a formula onto it. But I would say on an average, in about 3 to 4 months, you can change anyone dramatically enough so that the people around them notice the change. And most often, Raghu, the people around them to come for coaching next. So that is my indication that the coaching has gone well.
Okay. Okay. And I also realized that, during this COVID time, especially, people are spending too much time together, but that also led to too much of breakups, in the family circles, largely across we found. So do you have any say on that?
Yeah, I think it's just a natural consequence. They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Okay.
And too much of presence also, it causes a lot of disruptions. So I would say, please understand that everybody requires space. So sitting in the same house and saying, don't shout, I'm on a Zoom call, is not helping anyone. Try to work out a system where you close the door or you put a red light on outside and say, no, I'm in an important meeting, please, all of you keep the volume down. So a certain amount of prepping is required. I think all of us should use this to advantage and say we are together because we overcame Corona. And so we have to look at each other with more respect from that time on, I think.
See, what happened was one of my very good friend classmates, both the husband and wife were in a travel business. And, travel business suffered during COVID. Okay. But the lady found another way out to, transform the business. But she left the husband and the children at home and she went apart. But that gave, that brought a lot of ill health issues to the guy. Okay. But then, they were doing very well. It was a love marriage. But then they broke off almost. And we found that 25 plus years married had a lot of breakups during this COVID time. So did you hear such cases, or did such cases come to you?
Yeah, I think a lot. No, the people who come to me get a resolution not because I'm some great counselor or great coach, but because I try to put things in perspective. So if I'm talking to the husband, I talk from the wife's point of view, what the wife would be going through. And I have to interpret the other way around when I'm doing it, for the husband side. So we don't understand each other. And if you read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by Dr. John Gray, you'll realize that we are different creatures and therefore we operate differently. Women handle stress differently than men do. Women communicate differently than men do. So if we don't understand these differences, we are all the time thinking the other one is at fault. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And that's the biggest problem.
And especially when 9/11 happened, in US, we heard of a lot of, what you call as, feeling low kind of stories across, because it caused a lot of damages to the public at large.
Yes.
Maybe locals, maybe, from other countries. And we heard that, there were a lot of mental health issues because people saw something live. So how does experts like you address this issue when people have seen something live, in front of their eyes, and they're unable to, cope up with, and, they go into depression? So how do you people?
No, I think you have to bring a reality check. The problem is, see, I'll give you a very stern view of this whole thing. Raghu, we don't see the world outside as it is. We've taken only 40 bits out of 11 million bits of information that is there. We only process 40.00004%. Now, the point that you're taking in might be the worst part of that 11 million bits. And therefore, you're thinking it's bigger than it is. But if I show you another reality, then you say, wow, even this is true, is it? Yeah. And then I train you how to look at that part of the reality. So one of the things that we can do every single day is take a time out in the evening and then review the day and look at what went well and what could still go better. Now, please look at the choice of words. What went well and what could still go better. What could still go better is where you screwed up, actually. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what went well, what could have gone better. And therefore, either you win or you learn. See, most people think either you win or you lose, right? Life is not a null-sum game. Life is many shades of gray. It's not an on or off switch. It's a sliding bar that we can put in the middle, and you can play 70-30, or you can play 80-20, or you can play 30-70. Doesn't matter. You have a choice to do that.
Anyway, situations like pandemic, take people, by shock, and the duration was so long. How do experts like you again address such kind of issues which have a prolonged kind of, stay, which really bothers people?
I think, Raghu, we have to make a new set of rituals. Why do our yogis and all keep such good health? Doesn't matter what's happening around them. They know how to handle their inner atmosphere. So the outside atmosphere could be hot, it could be sultry, it could be raining profusely. It doesn't matter. Inside you got sunshine. And you're only responding to the sunshine inside. So it doesn't matter how much it's raining. He says some people will curse the rain, some will go out and dance in the rain.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Mm-hmm. And how much of this technological, of course, you mentioned about gadgets and all that. How about how these technological interventions are making your life far more difficult?
It all depends on how seriously you take it. For instance, if you watch the news every day, you'll be thinking we live in a terrible country. And we're thinking all of us are doomed to die very soon. Right? But I don't look at the news because I don't want to get negative, all that negative atmosphere inside.
Correct.
So I watch some Discovery Channel, or I watch National Geographic, or I watch some comedy channel. Much better for my psyche.
Okay.
As it is, we got enough stress during the day. Why do you want to watch news at night and get stressed out more? Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So you are suggesting that people who are good at their skills like music or comedy or something,
music,
dance,
that, yeah, go out for a long walk. Myself and my wife, we have a long chats on our morning walks. It's such a nice time.
Okay.
So you can use time effectively.
Who's more prone to taking tension much quicker? Is it the women crowd or the male crowd?
I think women are better able to handle the overall tension in a group. Okay. But if you ask me, I think men are better placed to handle personal individual stress.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that differentiator happening. Women are very good because they work well in groups, they collaborate, they spread the tension in that sense, so they divide the problems.
So are you
Men, they
suggesting
want to sort it
because
out
they
on their
do?
own. But
No,
in that, they also get better at sorting out problems on their own.
okay. So I'm suggesting because they are multitaskers, unlike men, are they able to handle that pressure much better?
More than multitasking. Actually, today they proved that there's not much multitasking happening. Although we switch between, different things much easier for women, switch much easier. Men don't switch so easily. So it's not that women multitask; they can switch better between tasks. That's one thing. The other thing I'd like to say is women collaborate more, and therefore, by talking about it, they solve their problem. Men solve their problem by not talking about it. They go into the cave of their brain and they problem solve, because by nature we are problem solvers. And in the old days, they had to keep quiet before you went to kill an animal or something. So they learn to keep quiet. Women, they had to talk so that they look like a bigger animal in the jungle. So all of them talk, and then it helped them to collaborate better.
Yeah, Rema, you have something to ask, please.
Rema smiling.
Rema, please.
Rema, you're on mute.
So on that note, Ian, we'd like to thank you for these very insightful inputs, and we have tried to grasp and understand how our brain functions, and what's the capability of our brains and what we can do much more by thinking right and following certain steps, or taking guidance from people like you. Thank you ever so much for spending time with Indiassetz. Most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rema. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Ian.
Raghu and Vishal. I just want to leave my number in case anybody wants to get in touch with me.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it. Leave your email and number for sure.
Yeah, just ianfaria@gmail, my full name at Gmail, all small letters. Or my number is 96 200 20,000.
Yeah. If anybody wants, they can also get in touch with me. I'll be happy to provide the number and email ID of Ian. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
guys.
Ian.
Vishal, it's always nice to meet a Cottonian and have a nice chat.
We're going to catch up soon on that note. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
That was nice of you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Vishal.
Bye, Raghu.
Thanks.
Bye, Rema. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening,
you.
all of you. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
audience, for watching this. Bye-bye.